All right, great. Hey, Patrick, how are you? Good to see you. Could you share with me and all of us your favorite Joe Staley memory and advice in retirement for him?
Oh man, my favorite memory of Joe would probably be the first. It probably would be the first encounter when we got drafted, and then we got to show up the next day, and I landed before he did, but he wasn't too far behind me. Coming up the escalator, SFO, and I remember turning around and seeing him, and I thought to myself like, man, they made sure they went and got a guy that was big enough so I could go against in practice. And so that was the first one, just seeing him, just his presence, and just I mean, you could already tell right then and there that he was about business, and obviously it showed. And then my advice for him would be really, man, just to be patient with yourself. Give yourself some time. Really take all the time you need because I feel like it's been 5 years for me, and I'm still trying to wrap the process around and really just take it in. So. But yeah, I just tell him just be patient with yourself, man, and really just enjoy his time away now.
Patrick, um, Joe, for a couple of years has at least thought about retirement because of his, health issues and probably other stuff. But have you talked to him at all, kind of just about that stuff since you retired, or given him any advice or counsel on that?
No, I have not. I have not. I didn't talk to him about it at all, and really, when it comes to things like that, man, like I said before, when other guys had retired the same year that I did, I was like, man, I didn't talk to anyone. At this point, I think it's just, guys know what they feel. They know how much they put their body through already, and some just understand, if you continue to go ahead, what lies at the end. So, you got to make the best decision for you. And Joe had a tremendous career, played a lot of football, made a lot of plays, and I'm happy for him.
Hey, Patrick, Nick Wagner from ESPN here. Thanks for doing this. I'm just curious, one thing about Joe a lot of people talk about is his ability to kind of balance having a lot of fun doing his job and also doing his job very well. I'm curious when you first saw that kind of manifest in him and how it maybe rubbed off on his teammates.
Yeah, man. I loved it. I loved how Joe came to practice every day. I loved how he was serious, but he's also loose with it. And I learned along the way too that you can be serious about your craft, you can be serious about your game, but it's also important to make sure you be loose and keep yourself balanced, because if not, one is just as bad as the other, and he done a great job at doing that.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Hello, how you doing?
Good. You and Joe had quite the rookie draft class. I mean, Deshaun Goldson, Ray McDonald, Terrell Brown. Can you talk about what it was like going through your rookie year with all those guys?
Man, I just got the chills now. Just hearing you call out those names. I never forget just showing up with those guys, and just the feeling that I had, understanding that, man, it doesn't matter where we were drafted at. We're all here to do one thing, and that's to make this football team better and hopefully win. And we went through some tough years early on together, but just that first year and how we worked together. Just seeing Joe over there on the offensive line, and then with the older guys, and then seeing Deshaun, just that whole class was remarkable, and I was grateful to come in with those guys.
Hey, Patrick, this is Chris Biederman. Just wanted to ask you about the block that Staley threw against the Saints in that playoff game. What are your memories of that block that he threw, and maybe his reaction to it afterwards, and the team's reaction, just given that how he was moving on that play and what that play meant for everybody?
Yeah, man, that was. Obviously for me, that was one of the biggest games of my career. Playing with Joe, and to see him throw that block, and me, when I saw him throw the block, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, is that legal? Are they gonna throw a flag? Because I've always felt like our team, for some reason, we always be the ones that get the flag, and we don't end up capitalizing. And lo and behold, it was a perfect block. And just when Alex scored, my gosh, I was so excited for multiple reasons, and the fact that one, it was Joe leading the way, and then two, we was winning the game and able to go into the NFC Championship. And so I mean, it was a big game, but even bigger play by a great player. And you got to have those kind of plays to be remembered or whatnot. And he most definitely going to have his time of remembrance.
Hey, Patrick, this is David Lombardi. Along the lines of that block and what you said earlier when you first saw Joe, big guy, but obviously he might have been the fastest big guy we've ever seen for one of those tackle positions. But do you have any other memories of, aside from that block, which is a great example of his speed, do you have any other memories from practice having to go up against him, of just how well he moved and how fast Joe was?
Yeah, what was interesting, Joe and I, our rookie year, we hung out a lot more. We hung out, that it was a little stretch from the time we was drafted until, training camp. And then after training camp started, then, I guess it's like we got acclimated and began to become our own people. But going against Joe, I learned, getting to know him, I learned that he was actually a tight end. And I think he moved to tackle or something it was or not. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, so you athletic and you playing tackle or whatnot. Like, man, you the primal guy for this position or whatnot. And so to see him do the things that he was able to do, to see him have the big plays. I mean, there was times he lined up at tight end or played was caught the ball as if he was a tight end doing I think the tackle pass Harbaugh a couple of times. He had a big catch. I mean, Joe is, man. I mean, just a phenomenal guy, and we actually didn't go up against each other a whole lot in our careers, and I think that was a great thing. So,
Patrick, the 49ers locker room obviously loses a lot of leadership with Joe retiring. What is it like when you're in a locker room like that and one of those key figures retires or steps away from the game?
yeah, during my time, I'm trying to think who would have been that guy for me that was the head of the locker room. I think BY was probably the guy for me. Though we'd only played 1 year together, I just remember, how he, just how the defense looked up to him and just the presence that he had amongst us. And when he retired, I remember thinking to myself, like, man, so how does this work now? And yeah, so I just seeing that happen with BY, I think that was about the only person. So, but what I do know is someone will take the helm and lead the way, and they'll keep it going. So,
Patrick, following up on what I asked you earlier about Joe having so much fun, what is your funniest Joe Staley story?
man, my funniest Joe Staley story. I mean, there was a lot of them. I'd probably say the funny times we had watching him doing his Joe with the Joe show, I think it was, and he would have a Joe show, and every now and then he would walk up to us and he would interview us. And one time I was interviewing, I forget what he asked me, but I was trying to tie my do rag, and I remember it was something that was just so country, and I was like, man, how do you get that to come out of me just then? But it was just his humor, just like I said, great character, funny guy to be around, just a lot of energy. He most definitely going to be missed in that locker room. I know that for sure.
Patrick, we just want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
All right. Pat, we got one more question real quick. Sorry, hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Patrick, thanks so much for doing this. Both you and Joe landed on the NFL's all-decade list. What was your reaction to getting that news?
Oh, man. One, just grateful for the people who voted. I know, there's a lot of guys were very deserving to go on that list, and just the fact that, one, I was able to get on it, and two, to have teammates get on there. It's always so much more fun when you're seeing your teammates getting love as well, and to just be joining them on there, it was a great feeling, and those guys right there are very, very two deserving guys. So.